Hello nerds and nerdettes, welcome back to the channel where we have a new video for you guys going over my top 10 most anticipated releases in the month of March 2023. Another exciting month of releases. I'm going to go over 10 that I feel you guys should definitely keep an eye out for, and I definitely will be keeping an eye out for. But before we jump into the list, I do want to remind you guys, if you do want to pre-order any of these books, head on over to Organic Price Books. Use the code STAYNERDY during checkout. You can get $2 off your order or your pre-order. It helps out an amazing company at OPB that has amazing customer service and packaging. I mean, they are top of the line when it comes to a lot of these companies, but it also helps out the channel, which of course I am extremely thankful for. But without further ado, we can jump right into the beginning of the list with number 10. First and foremost, number 10 is going to be Moon Knight, Marc Spector, the Omnibus. If you see me look to my right, that's because I have notes over here. We do have a release date of March 28th, a price tag of $125, a page count of 1,064 pages, so that kind of standardized price of $125 for books that are close to 1,000 or 1,000 pages, so fairly par for the course there. This pretty much covers the late 80s into the 90s Moon Knight runs, and I'm not a huge Moon Knight fan, but other than this omnibus and the Hutchinson, Benson and Horowitz omnibus, this is probably the only other omnibus I'd want, unless we eventually get one that will have the Jeff Lemire run in it. But other than that, this is really the only kind of Moon Knight book that I would want in my collection, other than those other two that I named. Moon Knight is obviously a very kind of dark, edgier, grittier character, so I think that lends magnificently to the 90s, as most people would probably say. So this is a great run because it definitely, taking place in the 90s, takes advantage of that kind of gritty, edgy kind of storytelling with that bombastic kind of art and paneling. So if you are a Moon Knight fan, definitely check this out. I don't think there's any like perfect jumping on point, just because his runs have been fairly scattered and sporadic. He's a little bit of an obscure character, so if you ever do want to jump into Moon Knight, really any omnibus would be best. Obviously his 2 volumes of his earlier stuff is probably the best jumping on point, more than anything here, but just keep in mind that is a little bit more dated stuff, including like his first appearance and everything like that. But that does wrap up number 10, so we can jump to number 9, which is going to be Star Wars The Rebellion Omnibus. We have a release date of March 14th, Pi Day, and we have a price tag of $125. Once again, kind of similar because we have a page count of 1,072 pages. So like I said, 125 seems about standard for any book that is really in the thousands or near the 1,000 range of pages. This mainly takes place after the New Hope, kind of after the Death Star gets bombed by Luke Skywalker, really fleshing out those years in between New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, which obviously if you're a huge Star Wars fan, you do want this omnibus to kind of fill in those gaps. It is a Legends omnibus though, so none of it is technically canon at this point, so if you want just canon material, then maybe stay away from it. But I honestly think whatever you deem as canon or enjoy as canon, that's really what matters, especially when it comes to something that's been so flippy-floppy like Star Wars between Dark Horse and Marvel and everything like that. The main thing to kind of, or the noteworthy contents in this is Vader's Quest, a very interesting story. I am a huge fan of Vader, so anything Vader-centric is definitely going to be top of the reading order for me. But if you are a Star Wars fan, pick this up. It does a fairly good job filling in that gap between New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. But like I said, definitely keep in mind it is a Legends Omni, technically not canon if that matters to you. But that does wrap up number 9, so we can jump to number 8. which is going to be none other than Spider-Man versus Venom, the Omnibus. I remember just before this reprint was announced that this book was selling on the aftermarket for double, triple the price. It hurt so bad for other people, for me to see for other people once this reprint was announced. But we do have a page count of $125. We do have 2 covers this time, because obviously this is a newer printing. A page count of 1,160 pages. Pretty decently sized book there. It's scheduled to come out March 7th. And a lot of people regard this as the Venombus Volume 0. So if you are collecting those Venombuses, if you're trying to get all of Venom in omnibus format, this is kind of a must grab. I'm kind of on the fence just because I feel like it's a compilation book, but it's not. But the main reason that it is appearing on this list is because this omnibus does contain all of Maximum Carnage, and I'm pretty sure it's the only omnibus that does at this point. So if you want that kind of Spider-Man event arc, you essentially have to pick it up. That's the main reason it's appearing in the list at all for me, but definitely really good stuff. The 2 covers, I'm probably going to go with that standard edition cover. The DM variant is a little ugly, but at the end of the day, it may not matter, especially if you want to get a custom dust jacket with the Venombus Volume 0 on it, like I know a lot of people want to, but it's a big reprint. A lot of people seeking this book out right before the reprint was announced, so definitely keep your eye out. But with that being said, we can wrap up with number 8 and jump to number 7, which is going to be The Infinite Frontier by DC Comics. This is going to be, I'm pretty sure, a standard-sized hardcover. It has a page count of 352 pages and a price point of $39.99, $40. This is scheduled to come out March 28th. It is written by Joshua Williamson, who is kind of a huge name at DC currently. He was also the writer and kind of big brain behind Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is the event that just came to a climax and ushered us into the rise of the DC Universe, which is kind of the era of DC Comics that we're currently in. So this is very intertwined in that too. Also, the Infinite Frontier kind of having a ragtag group of multiversal heroes. So if you do like multiverse stories like I do, then this is definitely something you want to look out for. It also, like I said, does affect or come into play during the Dark Crisis kind of event. So if you want to dive into that as well, I would probably recommend picking this up and reading. But definitely very good art, a lot of fun. I think we were in a little bit of a rough patch there during DC and kind of the Dark Crisis kind of event, but we're coming out of it actually on really good terms. I think the Dark Crisis event was fairly stellar, especially during the end half, and going into DC, it's looking like we're getting some really good stuff, back to basics, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But that does wrap up number 7, so we can jump to number 6. Which number 6 is going to be Fist of the North Star Volume 8, the first of 2 Volume 8s that are going to make an appearance on this list. A little bit of a spoiler there. We do have a release date of March 28th and a price tag of $19.99, 20 bucks. Fairly standard there. I think most of these volumes were 20 bucks, and most kind of hardcover manga is going to be 20 to 25 bucks, give or take. We do have a page count of 312 pages. Again, kind of standard with all the other volumes. I do have up to volume 6 in my collection currently, so I still have to get 7 to even get to the point of where I need this volume. As you guys know, I kind of collect these in the wild just because for whatever reason the spine and kind of corners are very kind of fragile. Even though they're beautiful books, I have no issues with the way they look aesthetically. Absolutely beautiful, especially the spines. But for whatever reason, they are fairly fragile, so keep that in mind when ordering or looking for books or any books like these hardcover kind of manga series. A lot of fun, though. It's a classical manga, the first classical manga that I've read and actually enjoyed. Probably has something to do with like the Mad Max style setting, as well as the blood and gore and action and everything like that. But a lot of good stuff throughout. I can't recommend this enough, especially for people that do enjoy Berserk. It has a very familiar kind of vibe to Berserk, very kind of similar but way different at the same time. If you've read the two, you probably know kind of what I mean by that. But it's really good stuff, a lot of fun. I think we're going to have, I believe, 10 volumes. Don't quote me on that, but this is volume 8, so we're getting close to that end if it is going to be 10 volumes. But that's exactly why it is making an appearance right before the top 5. So now we can jump into the top 5 of my anticipated titles with number 5, which is going to be Blade of the Immortal, Volume 8 in the Dark Horse Deluxe Editions. Now you see what I was referencing about that Volume 8. We have a release date of March 7th. Even though a lot of people already got their copies, I think even my copy is in transit. So I think it was February 28th or March 7th or something like that. Because I think there's a different company that is now putting these books out or something along those lines. But that is the official release date for, I guess, online at this point. We do have, obviously, that standard deluxe edition price of $50, which is the same for all these Dark Horse deluxe editions. And we do have a page count of 672 pages. This is my probably third favorite manga title at the point of recording this. I mentioned a million times how I had such a love-hate relationship with this title initially getting into it. Absolutely didn't like it, hated the pace. The art was really the only high point. But this past volume that I read, which was volume 7, and I think everything after about halfway of volume 2, I've been completely jaw-dropped by. Absolutely have loved it. This last volume and the volume before it, so 6 and 7, it gets dark. It gets very heavy. This is not for kids at all. Art is beautiful through it, though. It is so comic booky, even though it's a manga. It kind of has that Jim Lee kind of feeling. Cross-hatching, shadowing, action-y. Really good stuff, though. Can't recommend it enough. If you're into manga, you should definitely be collecting Blade of the Immortal in some capacity. If not in the paperback omnibuses, then at least in these deluxe editions. To me, this is the superior way to collect any manga that Dark Horse does get their hands on. But I know that's maybe a hot take, and definitely my opinion. Some people like the paperbacks, but absolutely beautiful books, absolutely beautiful title. Can't wait to get my hands on and continue reading and following the adventure of Manji and Rin. But that is exactly why it's the first of the top 5, so we'll jump to number 4 now, which is going to be The World's Finest, Volume 1. We have a cover price of $24.99, $25, scheduled to come out March 7th, and 160 pages. You have Mark Waid, I think it's Dan Mora on art as well. Really good stuff. Holy cow. Between World's Finest by Mark Waid and Batman by Chip Zdarsky, those are probably the 2 titles. Sprinkle in Nightwing by Tom Taylor also. Those 3 titles that were coming out during this era of DC. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful titles. I'm definitely planning on collecting those 3 once they keep coming out in hardcovers. But man, this is a great Batman and Superman book, focusing obviously on the world's finest of Batman and Superman. Mark Waid on writing duties. Of course, he's a god to this community. He's really put in his time and effort into writing these characters and knowing these characters, so I'm super thankful for that. But this is a very, very great title. I don't want to give away too much. You've probably, a lot of cool artwork that you've probably seen in recent years of Superman and Batman is probably pertaining to this run. Specifically the Batman-Superman composite character which don't want to give away too much on that either, but if you kind of know what I'm talking about, then that is from this run. So much fun. I just loved seeing Batman and Superman again to their peak, and can't recommend it enough, and that's exactly why it's at number 4. Can't wait to get my hands on it, but we'll jump to number 3, which I think is a little bit of a cop-out because it is Berserk Volume 13. If you've been watching this channel at all, you know I am a huge Berserk fan, so putting it on this list is kind of a no-brainer. This is Volume 13 of the Deluxe Edition Dark Horse Deluxe Editions. Hopefully I'm saying that correct now. Which is catching up to the point where Kentaro Miura did unfortunately pass away. So it's a little bit bittersweet there. We are catching up to current chapters very quickly at this point. So it's exciting because of that. But obviously catching up to current chapters is kind of the point where Kentaro did leave us. I believe the last couple chapters that he did are going to be in this deluxe edition or next deluxe edition. I'm kind of confusing the two, but I believe it's in this deluxe edition. But Berserk, can't speak any higher on the title. If you haven't read it, speak to anybody in the community. They'll tell you to read it. It's that good. It's the best thing I ever read in any format, whether it's comic, novel, manga, whatever it may be, is the best thing I ever read, with the best characters, best character development, art, everything is absolutely breathtaking. Once again, it does have the very standardized price for these deluxe editions of $50. It does have a scheduled release date of March 14th, Pi Day, and a page count of 624 pages. It seems like most of these are in the like 580 to 650 kind of range, give or take, when it pertains to the pages. But super excited to add this into my little Berserk shrine, get my hands on it, continue reading it, catch up to current chapters that are being released. But I don't think I need to sell anybody on Berserk. It's just know it's that good if you haven't read it, but I'm sure most of you have. But we can jump to number 2, which is going to be Silver Surfer by Dan Slott, the Omnibus, written by Dan Slott, obviously. We have a release date of March 7th, a price tag of $100, and a page count of 688. Of course, as soon as I was saying in some of my reviews that a price tag of $100 is rare these days, we're going to have 2 books appearing on this list with that price tag. Of course, speak it into existence, I guess. But the price tag of $100 does seem somewhat standard for page counts of like 600 to 800 pages, or just shy of 800 pages. It seems really good stuff, though. Dan Slott bringing his kind of cosmic opera storytelling that he really puts into a lot of stories that he writes, but now he's slapping that onto Silver Surfer, which is probably the most fitting character that he could possibly write about. Dan Slott recently, obviously before this, was finishing up on Spider-Man, a very long run on Spider-Man. Probably what he's most known for, but a lot of fun. Cannot speak highly enough for it. I recently had a conversation where somebody was selling me on this exact book again, because I was like, I'm not a huge Silver Surfer fan, but just being reminded of the excellence and the beauty of this book, its art, its deep meaning, everything like that. It's really something special, definitely worth getting. And if you are a Silver Surfer fan, then it's definitely something you need to get, because very similar to a lot of obscure characters, his run is very scattered, or his runs are very scattered, and he really doesn't get that much love that often. I think we only have 2 omnibuses for Silver Surfer, I believe, but really good stuff. Definitely pick it up. It's worth the read, and if you're a Silver Surfer fan, then it's pretty much a must-need at that point, because there's not a lot of omnis with that character included. But that does wrap up number 2, so we'll jump to my number 1 most anticipated title of the month of March in 2023, which is none other than Savage Avengers. I'm sure most of you guys saw this coming. Definitely a very important omnibus, which we'll get into. It has a price tag of $100, a release date of March 21st, and a page count of 776 pages. Not a huge omnibus. I was hoping for a little bit more pages in there, but it is what it is. Most of this written by Gerry Duggan, kind of a writer that's very good at having a lot of fun, kind of stretching those creative legs. He's kind of hit or miss with most readers, but this is really good stuff. So much fun. Main point of why this is #1 and why I definitely want each and every one of you guys to be on the lookout for this is this series, if you don't know, does include the character of Conan the Barbarian. Recently, we found out Marvel lost the rights to Conan to Titan Comics. Or not lost, sold, however that went down. So there's a very, very, very high chance that this omnibus may never be reprinted again because of the inclusion of the character of Conan. Obviously, that more comes down to the agreement between Marvel and Titan, and if Marvel can put out stories that previously included Conan or doesn't exclusively include Conan or whatever it may be, that's more up to them and the nuance into the agreement. But still, there's a lot of hype behind this book because of that. A lot of pre-orders being put out. A lot of people want this book because of that specific reason. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. You have a very obscure and odd Avengers team. Obviously, including a lot more savage characters. You have Venom, you have Wolverine, you have obviously Conan, Punisher, Brother Voodoo. You have a lot of characters that are somewhat obscure being forced together and kind of working as a team, and Gerry Duggan really has a lot of fun with that, and like I said, just kind of has a blast while telling his story. So even besides the point of the inclusion of Conan and the transition of the rights, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun. I think you can jump into it mostly blind. I mean, if you know who the characters are, that's really all that matters, but even then it may not matter. It's just a bit of fun. It's not super heavy or something you have to deeply focus on while reading. You just flip pages, kind of turn the brain off, and just have some fun while reading. But that does wrap up my list for today, so we'll head to the outro of the video. As I said, that does wrap up my top 10 most anticipated releases of March in 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know down below what titles you're most anticipated for or most excited for. If anything on my list is similar to your list. I know there's a lot of hype between that Savage Avengers omnibus. That's one thing I'm sure of, and I'm sure probably everybody will be picking up that Berserk Volume 13 as well because of its kind of significance. But super excited for this month to come. I'm excited to have a little bit of a break because there's not huge titles or huge price tags throughout that list. There are some that aren't in the triple digits, which I'm very thankful for, and so is my wallet. But I'd really appreciate hearing from you guys and what titles you'll be looking for, or maybe even sell me on a title that's not on my list. Obviously, I haven't read everything. I can't purchase everything. I can't think of everything. So let me know down below what you're interested in. Also, if you're not part of the Illuminati, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. It's such an amazing company, and we're trying to get this channel to grow together. Also, hit that thumbs up icon. It really helps the algorithm and helps the channel grow. Also, you can hit that bell icon, get notified anytime I put out videos or shorts. As of right now, the channel is putting out 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you'll be notified for any of those videos as well as my shorts in between. So that would help you guys if the videos is something that you enjoy. But other than that, thank you so much for watching as always. I'm super excited to go into this month and see what we get up to and kind of the books we review. And just thank you for watching again, and of course, stay nerdy.